Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and today we're talking about reviving a dead series, something near and dear to my heart. If you look directly above my head, you're going to see that werewolf up there. That's the cover of my very first novel, No Such Thing as Werewolves. And Deathless, the Deathless Saga, is effectively dead in terms of sales. And I don't mean that I'm not writing it. Book 5 will be coming out very soon, as a matter of fact. But I mean I'm not promoting it. So for the last, 2 years, I haven't really advertised this series because I knew it was going to take me forever to put out book 5, and I felt really guilty advertising an unfinished series. Too many people have been George R.R. Martin, and that's not the impression I want to leave them with. But as a result, I ended up exploring a marketing principle that I hadn't intended to, but has taught me a lot. You hear me talk in various videos, the idea of lying fallow with a series. So you're just letting it lie fallow like a farmer would let their field lie fallow. For a farmer, they're building up nutrients in the soil, but for us, we're building up readers. We're building up pairs of eyes that have not seen this book before. We all know if you're being advertised to regularly, if we see the same commercial or ad over and over and over, eventually it just becomes noise. And it'll only really impact the new people who see it. So your choice as an advertiser becomes, do I continuously try to advertise this series until it becomes noise? Or at some point, do I cut my losses, stop advertising it, and let readers build up? And that's what I've done. So I've let the series lie fallow for 2 years. I've built up a whole bunch of readers. And if you're familiar with kind of some of my theories about Kindle Unlimited, you might have watched some previous videos on the life cycle of a book. But my theory is that the Kindle Unlimited pool of readers for a specific genre resets roughly every 3 years. And I have no data to verify this. This is based on anecdotal experience, launching series and helping other people launch series. What it appears happens is if you've got a fresh new reader in a genre, let's say urban fantasy as an example, they may read 1,000 books over the course of 3 years. So we're talking a book a day. This is their habit. This is what they do for entertainment. Maybe it's their commute to work or school or both. This is what they do for fun. It's inexpensive. They love it. So they'll lose themselves in books. At the end of that 3 years, either that person will graduate into an occasional reader where they'll stop reading as much because they're sort of, not enjoying it as much anymore because they've read so many books. And they don't like the genre as much. And so, they'll branch out into other forms of entertainment, maybe video games, Netflix. They'll start doing other things and they'll read less. Alternately, they may choose another genre. So maybe all of a sudden they're done with urban fantasy, but lit RPG sure looks cool. And so they jump into lit RPG and now they're going to read 1,000 books in that genre. But regardless of how it happens, I think about every 3 years, a typical reader is no longer in the same part of the pool they were before. So theoretically, if you were advertising a series at once every 3 years, you're putting it in front of an almost entirely new pool of readers. And that is what I am trying to test with my Deathless Saga relaunch. So I've created a Deathless quadrilogy, which you'll see in the next part of the video. I went with the cover of book 2 because symbolically, I don't think a werewolf is the right way to reach this audience. That's proven to be a terrible decision. And of the 4 covers, the one that has been most popular among the audience that cares about post-apocalyptic fiction, those people primarily are into zombies. And so I'm going to use the zombie cover and hope that that converts better. I alternately could have commissioned new artwork and done another cover that was, maybe a little bit more appropriate. I considered doing that. I could do something showing kind of a solar apocalypse, which is very relevant to the series and also extremely popular right now, EMP, post-apocalyptic fiction. So I could have leaned into that. But I decided, at least for this experiment, for this box set, I'm just going to utilize the zombie artwork and we're going to see how it performs. It's only been out for a few days. It's doing pretty well. It sailed up to like number 200 in the store, and I think it's been bouncing around based on the mailing list swaps coming in, and is now currently around like number 500. And who knows where it'll stay. It's way too soon to see if it's going to catch the way I want it to catch. But I'm attempting to revive a dead series. I'm attempting to drive traffic to Deathless for the first time in 2 full years to let people know, hey, this series exists. And for preparation, the only thing I've really done since I didn't pay for new artwork was ask Lisa to edit the series. So Lisa edited the entire series. I paid my wife a small fortune to edit almost 500,000 words of fiction, maybe even more. Gosh, I should count that up. But she edited all 4 books and got it all cleaned up. And they were badly in need of it. They were my first books. My editing back then was not great. I didn't have a system. So they needed the overhaul. So that was the only change that I did. I got those books cleaned up. I don't think it's necessary if you're trying to revive a dead series, but in my case, it was sort of a pride thing. I want these to be top notch. This is my first series. It's my baby. You know, I love the Deathless Saga. I cannot wait to finish it and release the Arcor. And there's another book after that. But in any case, I want to revive this series. I figured I would do it with a bang. And of course, at the end of the box set, I do mention, hey, book 5's coming out pretty soon. And so I'm going to have a pre-order up for that very soon for the Arcor. I'm really just waiting on the cover artwork. And yes, I know you can do a pre-order page without a cover, but I prefer to wait and put it up when I do have that stunning artwork, which should be done soon. So hopefully I'm able to successfully relaunch this series. It looks strong so far. It's already doing way, way better than it ever did when I released it before. The best rank that No Such Thing as Werewolves ever achieved was number 4,000 in the store. So it was impressive in its day. This was before Kindle Unlimited even existed. So, you know, it did pretty well, and I was fairly happy with it. Well, you know, the box set hit number 200, so it's definitely doing better. It's getting exposed to a wider audience, and maybe it'll catch. If it doesn't, here's the important thing. I'm not investing a ton of resources. My total investment is up to $100 a day in advertising if the series is performing adequately to justify that. If it is not, if I feel like it's not performing in the way that I want it to, I can reduce that spend and just sort of, you know, ride what I can get. But because the box set is as long as it is, and because the audio is really, really good, and that'll be paired up very soon with the box set, I'm going to let it ride for a while. I think that this is going to do at least fairly well. It's, you know, it's a good series. It's some of my best work despite being my earliest, and I'm happy to return to it. So anyway, guys, if you're interested in relaunching one of your series and sort of, you know, taking a dead series and bringing it back, I want you to know that that is very possible to do. You can get new cover artwork at any time and create a box set just like I'm doing, or, you know, you can reskin the existing books in your series and try that. I lean towards the box set at this point because it's going to give me a new ASIN number on Amazon, which basically creates a new record in their database and allows me to get it in front of a lot more people because they like new stuff, they like new content. So that's why I chose this route. Anyway, we're going to jump into the second half. It's going to be short. I'm just going to show you what I have done, how the book has done thus far, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's jump in. Okay, so let's take a look at the product page to start with. As you can see, here's my box set image. This is, I found very, very important to get right. I have experimented with using a 2D flat image that says the same things because it looks better on a Kindle when you're scrolling to titles to see that kind of like a regular book cover image. And I think it looks great. But the symbolic recognition behind this box set here, where the reader looks at this and at a glance can say, oh, that's a big box set, and those spines are pretty fast. Those are some kind of thick books. They're sort of doing a value proposition in their head, whether they're aware of it or not. And that's enhanced, I think, by using the 3D box set image. And other box sets that I've seen have borne this out as well. The most successful box sets I see, especially the complete series box sets, are all using those 3D images. And so that's the route I chose to go. As you can see, I used that kind of zombie green, I'm going to call that, or toxic green font and my zombie cover, you know, to sort of indicate the content they're going to get in this book, which I think, again, is going to convert much, much better than utilizing a werewolf. I do still have the mention of the werewolf here because it's an important enough part of the plot that I'm not going to try to disguise it. I just don't want that to be front and center, because if a reader has already gotten here, their eye has stopped here on the title. It's probably cruised down here, look at the price, you know, what I'm going to pay for this. If there's reviews, and mine doesn't have any yet, but will soon, they would look at that and see what those are. And then they're going to look over here at the cover. And then finally, their eye is going to come down here to typically to the tagline, and they're going to read that. So my thought is by the time they've read this, they already saw the rest of it and hopefully are already interested. And one of these words is going to appeal to them if I'm hitting the right audience as I'm trying to do. This is the same exact blurb that I have been using since 2014 when I first published the novel, because it works, because it's one of my best written blurbs to this day. It entices people, and importantly, and this is very important, it doesn't give away any spoilers. And that actually probably hurts my sales potential. If I gave away more secrets about what's going to happen in the book, then people who are interested in certain types of fiction would be aware of it. So if I said something like that there's going to be an EMP pulse that's going to wipe out all electronics, and I mentioned that here, then that spoils things in the plot. But it would tell people, oh, you're going to get some cool stuff that you like, and so more people would buy it. I've accepted that this series is not going to perform as well as some of my others because I'm, purposely obfuscating that stuff. But when people read these books, their emails to me are incredible. Like, it's like nothing else I've written. They're like, oh my God, Chris, I had no idea where you were going with this and No Such Thing as Werewolves, and you somehow pulled it all together, and this is now my favorite series. So I feel like it's important not to mention those spoilery things in here, even though it would enhance sales. And well, I guess we'll take a look at how it's performing. I published the pre-order on October 4th, which is later than I would like. I would have preferred to have it up earlier, but I've had a lot going on. It floated there because nobody knew it existed. It dropped because nobody knew it existed. Somebody found it. I'm not sure who, but they bought a copy of it. And so it rose up a little bit. And then this is when the book went live and I started telling people about it. So, day 1, 388, it finished up. Day 2 is 249. Day 3 so far is 500. I'm noticing with my advertising, I've got $100 a day in ads set up, that the bids that I have to use are much higher now. And when I say much higher, I'm talking much higher than May. Like the last big crop I did for a huge release when I set up the complete Void Race series, I'm in the same genres looking at what it's costing me to get impressions, and I'm having to raise my bids considerably. So part of the reason why the rank has fallen is because I'm not getting the impressions on my ads that I want, because I was using old bid prices and I haven't moved with the market. So now I'm adjusting those bids accordingly, and I should get more expensive, but more impressions, which will cause this rank hopefully to go up. And that's going to be very, very important because I want it to be front and center for the first 30 days as the audio is going to drop in a few days' time. And really I want to maximize that window as the audio sales should be nuts for this. The audio is tremendously popular on this series. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm at so far. You can absolutely revive a dead series. If you look at this series, like I said, it peaked at number 249 already, and it could go higher if I have a few more slots lined up. And the series as a whole, none of the books ever broke the top 4,000. So I think I was 4,011 on No Such Thing as Werewolves. So I'm taking old content that I haven't done anything with in a long time, and in preparation for the release of book 5, I'm reviving this dead series. And I'm going to turn this into a profit engine so that when we're looking at my sales at the end of the year, you can see that, the post-apocalyptic fiction is all of a sudden carrying its weight. And it has the added bonus that I really love writing this series. Book 5 has been a blast to write. The books are twice as long as my other books and much more complex, so they're hard, but they are really rewarding, and the emails I get from fans make them worth it. So anyway, guys, that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm working on. I can't promise videos will be as constant as they have been in the past, but I'm trying to get them out more frequently now that I'm home from traveling. So you should see more of me on the channel in weeks to come. I'm sorry for the long gap. But, I've got a lot going on. I've got a kid coming into the world in January, and I'm trying to, pilot a career as well. So I'll be less scarce at the very least. Anyway, guys, I do need to get back to the writing, and I will see you next week.